Yeah, so I've been a little bit sick for the past week or so, and I'm still trying to get back on my feet. But I found myself a little bit behind on the video schedule, and so today I'll be doing a review for one of the newer episodes of Miraculous to drop. This time we'll be taking a look at Migration, which is an episode that was a bit divisive. I think for the most part the episode was okay, but for many, it's symptomatic of a larger problem with the direction of the franchise as a whole. That problem being the overarching writing. It's getting sloppy, and the direction of the story is becoming more and more unsatisfying. I mean, Luca learns the secret of both Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities, which is primed to give him some huge importance going forward in the story, right? You'd assume that'd have to be right. Well, wrong. He disappears almost completely from the show after that, and in his next major relevant appearance that deals with this knowledge, he's written out of the story. It's not really the most inspired writing, if you ask me, and the fans are starting to get a bit riled up about it, a bit fed up with it. Asterisk, once again, under fire. But that being said, the actual episode itself, it wasn't that bad. But that being said, also not that great. But nothing else for it but to jump into things, I guess. Anyway, we start off the episode at the immense luxury houseboat that Luca and Julika live on, with the pair once again hosting all of their friends for a performance, with Marinette even miraculously arriving on time for once. And she awkwardly interacts with everybody before, in front of everyone, she openly reminds Luca of that time that Bob Roth promised to sign their band to a record deal, and the fact that she made merch for them based on that potential signing, only for it all to fall through. Awkward. Just remind people of their greatest regrets. Anyway, Luca manages to see through her cringe and realizes that she probably wants to talk about something a little bit more serious, and so he takes her downstairs and he lets her vent. And she talks to him about how she doesn't know how she can be in a relationship with Adrian when she has to hide so much of herself from him, only to immediately panic as she realizes that she's actually been venting her relationship problems to her ex-boyfriend. And I'll be real, considering the weirdly compressed timeline of the show, and the fact that they probably only broke up a couple of weeks ago at best, despite what Luca says, to me this actually does make her seem hugely self-centered and rude. Jesus, get a grip. This just lacks all social etiquette. And also, this poor dude needs to put up some boundaries. Anyway, he tells her it's all good, and that she needs to stop being so hard on herself. And then she decides that this means that she isn't pathetic, which, well, that's not actually what he said, and I would argue that yes, you are a little bit pathetic, but okay. And then we get even more good old-fashioned cringe as we see Adrian make his appearance, and he and Marinette have an awkward blush-filled stare down, and Marinette beats a hasty retreat. Adrian then asks Luca about a sticky key on his keyboard, with Luca somehow realizing that this actually means that Adrian wants to talk about his feelings. I don't know how he knows this, but he does. And so they chat, and Luca once again helps him work through his feelings and improve his relationship with his ex-girlfriend. And then they hug, which, I don't know, I never really got the vibe that they were that close, but sure. And then after Adrian leaves, Luca's dad, Jagged Stone, just bursts in through the window. How did he even get there? How long has he been clinging onto the boat? Anyway, he asks about a guitar pick, which, well, at least that one is very clearly an excuse. So I do understand here how Luca was able to puzzle out that he just wants to talk. And honestly, I'll say this. For a kid that just found out recently that this man was his dad, only a couple of weeks or months before that, combined with the fact that he knows that Jagged knew that he was his dad this entire time and just never came to see him and Julika or spend any time with them at all, he's far more accepting and kind than I would expect from anybody. It would not be unreasonable to be angry here. But he isn't. Seriously, I gotta say, Luca is gonna get walked all over one day. And by one day, I do mean later this episode. He needs to stop being so understanding about everything. Literally every little thing. He's like, yeah, it's all good. And then Jagged's assistant, girlfriend. Did that happen at some point in a different episode? I can't even remember now. Anyway, she bursts in, asking after Jagged as he needs to be recording songs and all of that sort of stuff. And you know what? This actually does feel like a legit reason to be worried. A legit reason to turn up and ask for Luca's help, right? But somehow, Luca thinks that there's a deeper meaning here. Are you sure that's why you came here? I mean, why else would she? What kind of weirdo comes around to her boyfriend's son's house to get relationship advice? Her boyfriend's teenage son. Once again, boundaries, Luca. You need some. Poor kid. Who's been parenting him? Anyway, he helps her figure out that she is truly in love with his dad. Bit weird. Before Bob Roth bursts in, also looking for Jagged Stone, and learns that Luca is Jagged's son. He then laughs at Annika for having been stupid enough to have children with Jagged Stone, which is actually kind of funny, before he's in turn thrown off the boat, The first time of many times this will happen to him this episode. The band then starts rehearsing, quite badly, I might add. Like, come on. This song sucks. All their songs suck, and you know it. And I swear in every single dub of this show ever made, Rose is the worst lead singer ever. So clearly that's just a character trait, right? It's an actual story decision. So you gotta wonder, why'd they even make her the lead singer? Ugh. Bob Roth then returns, and he acts all surprised at how good they are, and offers up a contract, despite the fact that he's already flaked on them before, as well as having actually stolen their music previously, right? Didn't he actually steal one of their songs to give to his son? That happened in an episode, the first Silencer, right? Right? That's not a fever dream, is it? Anyway, Hanukkah rightfully kicks his ass off the boat for the second time before he comes back again, and Luca talks his mum into letting him speak. Give him a chance. Give this terrible person who's unrepentantly awful a chance. And then on top of that, Luca gives approval for the group to sign this contract. Foolish, too forgiven, mate. Anyway, they all celebrate, it's all good, happy days, until Bob, now wearing a scuba suit, I do like that, fires all of them except for Luca and reveals that the contract was ridiculously one-sided. And are you telling me that these brainiacs signed a legal contract without even thinking to read it? Hell, Luca and Julica's mum is right there. Did she not read it? They can be fired whenever he wants, Kitty section completely belongs to him, he owns all intellectual property they've made and will make in their lifetime and in the next 1,000 years. He owns their merch, their costumes, their website, all of it, all's gone. And on one hand, it's just like, oh, you get what you deserve, kids. This is what happens when you don't read the fine print. But on the other hand, surely this contract is meaningless, right? I think a lot of those terms are actually unenforceable straight up. The non-compete, for one, would get chucked out for sure. Those are almost never enforceable. And I mean, surely they could just straight up void the contract anyway. Aren't they all minors? Don't they need guardians to approve this kind of stuff? Plus, it was clearly deception. Anyway, Luca of course gets briefly akumatized, but manages to fight it off. But not before Gabe, somehow, realizes that he must know the secret of Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities. And if he can puzzle that out, why has he never noticed that Marinette is Ladybug when he's tried to akumatize her in the past? Doesn't that literally happen this season? The ice cream one? I get wanting to add new things, but try to keep things consistent at the very minimum within the same season's confines. That's very sloppy writing. Anyway, Luca decides that instead of hiring a lawyer that his parents could very easily afford based on where he lives and the fact that his dad is a superstar, he's going to simply quit music forever because that makes so much more sense. Bob then gets akumatized after being thrown out again, and he becomes Gold Record, a villain who turns people into records who will sing everything in their hearts, and also gives him the power of the horse. He comes back, he tries to get Luca, but Rose intercepts the attack and sings about how she loves Julica, and Ivan, and Alia, and Marinette, and Luca, before Bob sends her into space because, you know, she sucks, lol. Anyway, so clearly they wanted to hint at Rose and Julica, and you know, Julica was blushing and all that, but then the way the song actually went, it definitely feels like this was just there for queer baiting reasons, you know? It's like, why do this? I mean, would it really kill them to just not do something like that? Either they're gay or they ain't. Let's not get people's hopes up pointlessly, yeah? Anyway, Manika tries to save the kids, she fails, but she tries, and they all run and hide, with sneaky Luca sending off Marinette and Adrian to hide in different spots so they can transform, whilst also heavily hinting to Adrian that he knows he's Cat Noir. Anyway, Gold Record returns, and Julica is recorded next, and the show acts like she has some crazy excellent performance, but like, Ladybug then arrives and saves Luca, and in turn is saved by Cat Noir throwing a rubber duck into the path of the record, which becomes, well, Gold Record seems to think it's a hit. And honestly, he's probably right. Sadly. I mean, with a little bit of tinkering, maybe adding some lyrics, this would turn into one of those YouTube kids hits that gets like 1 billion views or something equally ridiculous. A moneymaker. Cat Noir and Gold Record then battle throughout Paris whilst Ladybug tries to come up with a plan. And she decides that using Luca as live bait is the best way to do this, although she does panic when it's revealed that Luca knows she's Marinette, and that he also knows who Cat Noir is. But like the absolute stud that he is, Luca reassures her, and he gives her the drives to stick with the plan and risk it for the metaphorical biscuit. Obviously, her plan easily works, and Gabe once again misses out by a hair because once again, poor Gabe, he just sucks. Sometimes it just isn't fair on this guy. I mean, he's a terrible person, but Jesus, bad luck. Anyway, Bob Roth is completely and utterly unrepentant and gets tossed off the boat once more, and I gotta say, I do admire that she always stuffs them in an inflatable ducky before she throws them off. Anyway, they tear up the contract, but Luca has to leave, which regrettably removes one of the best written characters in the show from the storyline. And he and his dad go off on a world tour, leaving Julica behind at home. Are you serious? What kind of favoritism bullshit's this? Sometimes I think the show actually forgets she's also Jagged's kid. Damn. And so, yeah, that's the episode. Kinda dull, funny at times, but just so dull and boring and stupid, bad writing. Not great, fellas. Not great. And so, with all that being said, that's the end of the video. And so I would like to remind you that these were just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Do you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know.